Happy MySims Cozy Bundle on Switch release day to you all! Yes, as the resident asker of MySims for the Switch pretty much since the Switch came out, I obviously had to record a bunch of MySims videos to celebrate the release of this bad boy. So I figured we'd kick it off today on release day with a bunch of tips and tricks from MySims. This is for those of you who may have never ever picked up this game, honestly might not have even known that this existed in the Sims universe. This was really only available on the Nintendo Wii and also PC, and then furthermore on DS, but I personally never played the DS games. This one is like a direct port of the PC and Wii version. It is two games in one. We're gonna be more so focusing on the OG MySims, but I have a feeling a lot of that carries over to Kingdom. It's just I haven't had chance to play Kingdom, and that when I was younger was probably the one that I don't remember quite as much, but I think that's just because there was actually a lot more content to Kingdom. But don't worry, you will have skills that will cross over between these two. I honestly might make a second tips and tricks after I've played a little bit of MySims Kingdom this weekend. Thought we'd kick this off by basically me summarizing what the main goal of this game is. So you move to a tiny town. It is a town that you choose your name of. It goes like any other cozy farming simulator, Animal Crossing type behavior. You are the person who can do this one power. You can build with essence. Nobody else in this entire town can do it. So many Sims have moved away because the wizard that once was able to do this unfortunately left, and now you are left to pick up the pieces. You have to rebuild, move in, become friends with a bunch of townies. And to do that, you actually have to start doing tasks for those townies to then raise your town level. As your town level starts to increase, more Sims will appear in the hotel. Every day you can go check out who is actually residing in the hotel, and you can ask them to move into your town. Therefore, it will start a new loop of even more tasks for you to complete, and you have 5 star levels to get this up to basically complete the star levels. One of the first tasks that you will receive from Mayor Roslyn when you move in is the fact that you have to build your own home, because they in fact don't have a home ready and available to you. And when it comes to building houses, I just wanted to let you know you do not have to stick with just the first page of options. They kind of give you a couple of building blocks to play around with, and then a couple of little windows and stuff. However, you can actually press right and left on your D-pad, which will bring up different blocks, different windows, different doors, different decorations. Make sure you're going through all of those menus, having a little play around. Don't get me wrong, the building is a lot more restricted than what we are used to in a mainline Sims game. However, it is still kind of fun to play around with the sizings of blocks, which by the way, you can do by using up and down on your Joy-Con. You can also rotate them using left and right. Just make sure you're swapping those menus, you're checking everything out, you're playing around with things. If you don't want to use something that you've picked up, just hit B and that will delete it. Another thing that I want you to play around with when you're building is the paint tool. So you can hit the right Joy-Con to actually switch to this menu, or you can just hover over the paintbrush to switch to the paint menu and play around with what you can paint, because I always forget in this game that you can paint windows and doors. Now, I'm not so sure if it's every like windows and door is available to be painted, but a lot of the blocks can also be painted, the actual foundations of a house. You can definitely experiment with your builds, and I would encourage you to do so, just so every building doesn't end up looking the same in your town. Building houses isn't the only thing that you have to build in this game. Sims will actually give you tasks. These tasks are what you use for progression of your star levels, to build up your friendship with townies. And there are 2 different types of townies, and therefore 2 different types of tasks. So you actually have commercial townies. These are townies that you are introduced to right at the beginning of the game, such as Poppy, who owns the flower shop. She runs a business within the game, so therefore she is categorized categorized as a commercial sim, whereas some of the ones that you will meet soon after are just like kind of your more traditional townies. With commercial townies, when you actually talk to them and they need a task doing, it will go into a cutscene, it will zoom right into your conversation, and you will get a task UI explaining what essences you need to build this item that they have requested and the items that they have requested, and you can accept or deny this task. Those tasks will then appear in your task book in your My Stuff menu, which you can access by hitting minus on your Switch. Whereas just regular townies who don't really need those commercial requests, who kind of just live and reside in your town, when you speak to them, they'll kind of give you suggestions. So they'll bring up a conversation and be like, oh, I need a hot tub, or ooh, I need a bed. And you can then go and work on those items without actually having a proper task. You can still work on those tasks at your workshop. It just won't pop up in the actual UI. You can just create an item. Whilst you're doing these traditional townie tasks, it's also probably quite important to realize that townies actually have two interests. They have a primary interest and a secondary interest. Once again, you can check these out by opening up My Stuff and then going to your relationship book. This will actually show you all of the townies that you know. They might not have even moved into your town yet. They could just be people that you have actually spoken to in your hotel. And if you actually click on those sims, you can see their primary interest and then their secondary interest and then their disliked interest. And these are actually super important to build your relationship. If you use 5 of their primary and then 2 of their secondary, you will get the biggest relationship buff with those townies and you will become friends at a quicker rate. These interests are split into 6 categories. You have cute, fun, geeky, spooky, studious, and tasty. The one on the left-hand side is the one they love, the middle one is their like, and the one with the big do not disturb in front of it is their hate. As you play more of the game, you'll naturally learn to know which essences relate to which interests. However, when you actually place them on the furniture or paint with those essences, you will see the category actually pop up out of it. So for example, if you've used a tasty essence, then there will obviously be the icon for tasty, which is the chicken leg. There are also needs, even though they're not really ever shown in the game and the sim that you're playing as and none of the townies really have needs. They are broken up into comfort, cooking, decoration, entertainment, hygiene, sleep, storage, and tables. This is where it does start to get complicated, and you're probably not going to need to go into this much depth or pay like this much attention, but I thought I would bring it up in my tips and tricks. If you build an object that caters for a need that they don't yet have in their house and then use the primary and secondary interests, that will give you the biggest buff of a relationship that you can have with someone. That is how you will start to build up relationship points if you use 5 primary interests and then 2 of the secondary interests. Whereas if you are building an object that they tend to dislike and also that they already have that primary need taken care of, that will give you a negative buff on your relationship. Again, that's probably far too much information than you ever needed unless you're thinking of absolutely 100%ing this and becoming best friends with every single townie available. And just so you know, there are actually 3 levels of friendship: acquaintance, friend, and best friend. Once you actually become best friends with townies, they can give you an outfit or they can unlock special blueprints for you. So you do actually get something in return for being best friends with townies. Obviously, completing tasks, gifting them furniture, and being nice to them generally just raises your friendship. Whereas being mean or taking away furniture from their house means that your friendship will decrease. Back to building though, once you've actually started getting tasks or you're building furniture for those townies, you can hold Y and this will actually keep the current piece that you are building with. It's kind of like hitting shift in the traditional Sims games where you just keep that item actually like clicked and placeable. One of the biggest tips that I wanted to give, and something I feel like if you were a child who were playing My Sims, you probably stumbled over the first couple of times that you played this game, and it is the fact that when you receive receive a task, or you're just trying to get all of the essences and interest that townies like in their furniture, you can obviously open your backpack and place an actual essence on what you are building, which are usually pretty oversized and also very much interfere with the item that you are building. For example, from the get-go, you have to build Mayor Rosalind a podium, and she wants it in the red apple essence. However, if you try and put a red apple onto the podium, you can't resize it, and also it doesn't really fit like on top of the podium, so it's not like she can just have a red apple chilling, because she needs to use it and it needs to be rootable. However, you can stick them to the sides of the podium, you can use them for decoration, and that's great sometimes. If you want to use essences in that way to decorate a piece of furniture, it does count towards the task and the essence tick off. However, you can actually go into paint mode, and if you hit X whilst in paint mode, you can open up your backpack, you can choose an essence, and each essence has 4 available colors. 2 of them are usually very heavily patterned, and then 2 of them are usually more plain swatches, and you can use the paint tool to actually go through those 4 swatches. Painting with an essence does also tick off using essences on your tasks. Make sure you're using essence paint, I beg. That is quite literally the one tip that I wanted to make this video about. Just as I mentioned with building houses, the suggestions, the blocks that they give you from the get-go are just that. They are suggestions. You can really customize your builds as long as you fill in the sparkly material. That means that an item will auto-complete. So for example, if you're making a fridge, as long as you have those basic blocks that you need, it will make a fridge at the end of it. However, you can build those bigger blocks using smaller blocks. You can make it more of a puzzle if you want more of an interesting design when it actually comes to painting an item, or maybe there's just not enough blocks to actually fill it with the amount of essence paint that someone has required. You can mix and match these blocks. You can make something bigger out of smaller blocks and make it look more interesting, and I would definitely suggest doing that. Maybe you just want to add some decoration, maybe you want to put some jars up on top of an item, maybe you want to add some more piping, or maybe some extra like framework once you start unlocking fancier shapes, which again, you can use your D-pad to scroll through all of the blocks available, and as you actually raise your star level and collect more blueprints and talk to more townies and become friends with them, you will actually unlock way more blocks with more interesting shapes, and you really can play around with these. I would highly suggest just going into like townie homes, seeing what the team have actually made. I know that one of the townies has a hot tub with like a raven on the side, and the raven is made up by a bunch of smaller blocks and then painted obviously black, and it looks so cool. The team did a really good job at kind of inspiring players. Just have fun with the building. You don't need to take it too seriously. Or you can, and if you make anything that you're super proud of, feel free to tag me over on Blue Sky, because I really want to see everyone's builds. I'm so excited to watch content about My Sims. Of course, once you've actually finished a task and you leave your workshop, you need to be able to give it to the townie who requested it. So you can actually go to their home. If you're struggling to find a townie, just go to their home, because 5 seconds later, if they're not already there, they will spawn in. And then to give them furniture, you scroll across using your D-pad. You can give gift. Just be aware that all of the furniture that you have built for tasks is actually available in your backpack and not actually the chest that shows up. So you're gonna want to hit X whilst you're actually in that menu to bring up your backpack, so then you can place the furniture that they have requested. The chest is more so for decoration that you can unlock and you can kind of put up on their walls or place down in certain situations. We've already spoken about painting with essences. I actually want to do a whole dedicated video, which is hopefully going to go up tomorrow, about where you can can find every single essence in MySims, because I know that that is going to be a struggle for some people. But I just want to give a couple of tips about essence. So I would say make the most out of garden spaces. Anywhere you can plant trees, make sure you are planting trees. If I have a task that I know I have to plant a tree for, and I know I have to get a bunch of essence for, I like using one of the bigger gardens where you can usually plant like between 3 to 6 trees, just for that one specific essence type. Don't be afraid to plant multiple of what you need. Also, don't be afraid to actually just go into that plant menu and see what you are actually available to plant, because usually there's more essences that are plantable than you think are going to be. You can actually water trees for more essence. You can also fertilize trees for more essence. Just be aware that you can actually over fertilize trees. They can change color and then they can die, which means that they won't produce any essence. However, that is quite good if you are needing specific types of wood essence. Also be wary that different types of essence trees give you different types of wood. I can, off the top of my brain, only remember light wood, dark wood, and dead wood. Obviously, killing a tree off using fertilization will give you dead wood, whereas just chopping a tree down will give you light wood or dark wood, depending on which tree it is. If you can't find essences on trees or from plucking flowers around the world, then it's probably very likely that you're gonna actually have to prospect for them. Prospecting is basically metal detection in MySims. There are little crystals dotted around the world. There are also caves that have prospecting sites. You walk up to these crystals. As you get closer to them, you have the option to prospect. Make sure you click that, and then your MySim will whip out a little metal detector. It will start off blue if you are far away from an essence, and then as you get closer, it goes from green to amber to red. Once it starts pulsating, beeping, and is very, very red, then you are pretty much over the spot and you can dig, and that will give you certain essence. Each spot has like a number of essence that it can pull from. So if you're not finding a specific one, but you know it's in that location, just be patient. It will occur. It's just some of them are more rare than others. And then if you are struggling to find essence, even after my video that I'm going to be putting up tomorrow, you can actually go back to the townie who gave you the original task and you can talk to them, and that will usually give you a hint of where to find a specific essence. Definitely don't be afraid to explore your map. Walk all around the town. As you actually progress through star levels, you will start to receive different tools from the mayor. These include a crowbar, a saw, a pickaxe, and then once you're level 4, you will get a blowtorch. Each of these tools actually opens up new areas. So the desert and the woods, the forest, will actually be locked off from the get-go. You'll just have the main town area. And then as you progress, you can use those tools to actually access different areas of the desert and the forest, which will, 1, give you more plots to place more townies down, and also 2, it will open up different areas to get different types of essence. That is how you are going to be able to complete this game. I don't know if this is going to be available in the MySims Cozy Bundle edition, because this was actually a kind of like free DLC for online play when it came to the PC version. So I don't know if they've included it, but it used to be that when you headed to the train station at level 2, you could head to your gardens. When the servers were back online back in the day, you could also go to your friend's garden, but that is long gone. It doesn't mention that it has any online, so that makes me think that the garden may not actually exist. But if you are a star level 2, maybe go up to the ticket station on the train station in the main town where you arrived and try and travel to your gardens, because again, that actually holds some extra essences. If you actually 100% every single interest, there are things such as Uber Sims. Now this is one sim for each interest. Once you reach that 100%, the next day that Uber Sim will be waiting at your hotel and you can actually move them into your town. They're harder to befriend. However, once you do, they do give you their outfits. To actually get the interests of your town to 100%, you can actually remodel homes that you already have in your town, and you can use different items that have different interests tied to them. Again, make sure you're kind of keeping in mind what interests those townies actually like, because in the end, that will also help your friendship alongside side, helping your 100% rate for each interest. But again, I obviously haven't completed this on Switch, so take that with a pinch of salt. I'm basing that information of what we already know of MySims. You can track your town interests by actually going to your map by hitting Y and then pressing minus, and it will show you the percentages. To actually reach 100%, you might need to go in, remodel a bunch of houses, and really focus on one specific interest, because once that sim is actually moved in, they don't care if it dips below 100%, so you can always revert your changes. It just might help you to get tipped over that 100%. Don't worry, I'm gonna be trying it. And finally, you might be asking, are there any different like clothing, any different things that we can actually have in Create a Sim? So using a mirror and then using a dresser actually within the game can open up some different outfits that you maybe didn't see in Create a Sim when you were first making your sim, which by the way, Create a Sim, exquisite. I absolutely love the style of clothing that comes with MySims. I'm not actually 100% sure if this Cozy Bundle edition has more clothes. It feels like it did, however, I might just be misremembering. But you can also get new clothes by moving in a couple of different commercial townies. So you're gonna want to keep an eye out for Miss Nicole and also Dolly. Dolly owns a costume shop. And then if you want more variation when it comes to hairstyles, definitely keep an eye out for Shirley, because she actually owns a hairdresser. Once you've actually done a couple of the tasks for her, you can actually sit in the seat and get a new hairstyle from Shirley, which is kind of very reminiscent of Shampoodle from Animal Crossing. And there we have it. Those are all of my tips and tricks for My Sims. I want to try and get all of the Uber Sims. I want to try and become best friends with as many Sims as possible, and I wish you luck on that journey if we're doing it together. Also, biggest tip I feel like I can give, it is available on physical. This isn't just like a handmade thing. I posted this on Blue Sky before, and so many people did not know they come as a physical. It's not just a code either. It physically comes with a cartridge. Just to prove it to you, this is the little MySims cartridge. Feel bad saying that if you maybe have already digitally downloaded it, but I managed to grab this one from Argos today. Feels really nice to have like a Sims adjacent game actually on physical, because that doesn't happen very much anymore, considering they completely eradicated Sims 4 physical versions. Feel like I didn't yell about that fact enough on the lead up, because so many people replied to me like, damn, if I knew that I had a physical version, I would have gone out and got it. So I do apologize for being a little bit quiet on that front as the MySims representative. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. If you have any tips or tricks for MySims, do not hesitate to leave them in the comments down below. If there's anything that has maybe tripped you up, feel free to leave questions down below as well. I will try and get back to you. Other community members, I'm sure, will try and get back to you. But I hope this one was helpful. I really hope so many people enjoy this game. I thoroughly loved it when I was younger, and now that I know what I can actually get out of it and my little completionist heart, I think I'm gonna be quite happy. So I absolutely cannot wait to play it. Obviously really excited to jump back into Kingdom, because I haven't been able to play that since I sold my Wii years and years and years ago. So that is definitely gonna be an experience. Once I do start playing it, I might do another tips and tricks. If I feel like it's too similar to this one, then I will just leave it. Thank you to EA and Maxis for bringing this one out. I genuinely cannot thank you enough. Just like look at this and know that it's on Switch and also looks better. Which, by the way, if you don't have a Switch or you want to purchase this, for Europeans and people in the UK, I don't know about anywhere else in the world, I do apologize. I know in the US it is still $20 over on the EA. However, on the EA app in both the UK and Europe, it's only €5 or £5. So if you want to instead pick that up, if you don't have a Switch, obviously it is an older game. It's not going to look as good as the Switch version. It might not look as crisp as the clips that I've used in this video, but it is still playable and is still very enjoyable. I'm going to stop yapping. I'm going to get back to my MySims, and I'll speak to you all in my next one. Bye now.